All right. It's really an honor and very, very happy to be here with all of you. Definitely, I want to commend Anne's work on this issue. You know, not until I met with Anne a few months ago that I learned that his uncle actually came to the United States with the same boat of my father. They went to Phoenix and get their training. My father was lucky to survive the war, but he was severely injured during the war. But we finally got to learn that there's how many? There's more than 50-some Chinese Air Force cadet lost their life during their period during their training in the United States, and they were all buried in Texas. So there was really a very, very not well-known history about the sacrifice of a lot of people, civilian, in this particular case, some Air Forcemen during the war. And her uncle was actually killed after he completed his training and ready to go back to China to serve the country, to defend the Imperial Japanese invasion. And there was a cargo plane. There was an accident, so she spent so much effort to find the truth, because in the beginning there was some rumors saying that his uncle was drunk, you know, and get onto the airplane and got himself killed. But that wasn't really the case. And also find out that there were so many of this young cadet was killed before they even get a chance to serve the war. And another thing I learned from her study is that most of those people that got killed are really the elite among the elite in China. You know, her uncle was a student at Beijing University. You know, so and if not for the war, or if not for his decision to join the Air Force, he could be the premier in China. Who knows? I mean, he was really a very bright and good, wonderful students from the Beijing University. And he's just one of the example of the millions of people that lost their life during the war, during the World War II. I'm so glad to see John's here. We met just last year or a couple of years ago in my office, where we're trying to honor my grand-uncle, my grand-uncle on my mother's side, General Sun Liren Jiangjun, General Sun. And he fought opened up the Lingdo of highway, or Lingdo freeway, or whatever they call it that way, the road from Burma, India to China, and they fought the war shoulder by shoulder. And also there's a lot of African American people that participate in building that freeway, and they were actually from the Army Corps of Engineers. And so it is the very last time that the Chinese troops, you know, fought shoulder by shoulder with the American troops. And that's also a very it's not, again, another well-known story, and not taught in the history books, in the high school history book in United States. So one of my efforts in the State Assembly is to make sure when we update the curriculum, and we wanted to include more of the what happened during the World War II, especially in the CBI theater, in our history curriculum. So the student, the next generation, be able to learn more about the sacrifice both of our country have made during the World War II. So with that, I have 2 certificates of recognition. I definitely wanted to thank the San Francisco Public Library to open up this space and to do this photo exhibit and educate the people, the visitors of the library about this, again, not so well-known history. And also definitely wanted to thank Ann Lee for her tireless work and working on this issue and educated me about some, World War II history that it wasn't, I didn't know about earlier. So there was a really, really good education to me. And I would like to ask Ann Lee and the representative from San Francisco Public Library to come up here and receive a little token of appreciation and hopefully more this unknown history, is a human history, will be able to uncover. I'm an engineering major, but I love history for the single reason is that if we people, if we don't learn from the history, and the history will repeat itself. So I want to thank you very, very much for joining us in this great library of San Francisco. With that, and oh, okay. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Floor manager.
Oh, all right. Great. Thank you very much. All right.
You got it?
Thank you very much. I also want to recognize Connie Yu. She was also one of my teachers, and she taught me a lot about the early Chinese immigrant, their struggle in the city of San Jose. And she was actually the co-founder of an organization called Chinese Historical Culture Project. And we have Wu Sheng Gong erected in the history part of San Jose. So here's another one of my history teacher. Connie, thank you.